Hello and welcome to the seventh day of our Kwanza celebration for 2022, New Year's Eve. We are on the brink of sunsetting the year 2022 and walking into a brand new year, 2023. And on this seventh day of Kwanzaa, hopefully you've had a chance to journey with us throughout the first 6 days of the Nguzu Saba. The seventh principle today that we are going to be discussing is the principle of Imani, a well-known word. In fact, in Southeastern California, one of our churches is named Imani in Moreno Valley, and Imani represents faith. And today, on this seventh day, all three of us are joining together to share our thoughts on this final day of the Kwanzaa celebration 2022. You know these gentlemen well, but for those that are joining us for the first time, I'm joined by Pastor Wade Ford of the 16th Street SDA Church in San Bernardino, California, Dr. Delroy Brooks, the pastor of the Juniper Avenue Church in Fontana, California, and I'm Pastor Barone Savory, pastor of the Valley Fellowship, Seventh-day Adventist Church in Rialto, California. We're glad that you have joined us to celebrate this day of faith. And so I'd like to just go around and for us to share our personal thoughts on the Kwanzaa's reflection on the principle of Imani faith.
You know, one of the things that I really enjoyed about this seventh day of this beautiful experience of Kwanzaa that we've been journeying in is the reminder to have faith. Not just the global idea or theological position as it pertains to redemption and salvation, but I think one of the things that we have lost, which Imani helps to remind us, is faith again in people, faith again in our community, and faith again in the creation, that it was purposed by design and not by accident, so that we, each of us who are here, and even humanity in and of itself, deserves faith. Because when we as individuals tap into the faith by which God has put in each one of us, what Imani encourages to believe in our brothers and our sisters, that our higher selves, it speaks to, our greater search for a better individual and a better community, is actually empowered within who we are, of what God has created inside of us. So I'm grateful for the seventh day, the reminder that people deserve faith, as crazy as these times look and seem, that there is a better day a coming when we within ourselves tap into the person that God created us to be and manifest that righteousness and allow it to come out. God bless you on this seventh day of Imani.
Yeah, man, the Imani ideal I love that it's faith in people, as Pastor Wade reminds us. It's not just in people, but also ourselves. It's all of the principles seem to be pointing always in remembering who we are, what we're capable of, and having faith in who we are and what we are capable of, and continuing to remind ourselves that we are greater than what has been, and we are to always be building on top of that so that we can get the most out of ourselves, out of our families, out of our communities.
Yeah, and I appreciate what both of you all have shared from a Kwanzaa perspective as we look through the first 6 days, all of them an interdependence on one another, self-determination, unity, the other principles that we covered, all of those increase this measure of trust, not only in ourselves, who am I? Where do I come from? These other questions that are asked during the Kwanzaa, the time of reflection of Kwanzaa in and of itself, when we do them well, it exponentially grows our faith, not only in ourselves, but it grows faith in one another. And when we have strong faith, we're able to go further faster. We're able to do and accomplish much more. And I appreciate this principle of Kwanza, of Imani, that it brings about that we have to have faith not only in ourselves, but faith in one another, strengthening one another, believing in one another. And I also believe that it also is talking about a faith and a belief in one another, belief for the good, because sometimes we can have faith in a negative perspective. And we certainly have enough of that in our communities and other places that we operate within. And so this idea of faith, a positive belief, not only in ourselves that we can overcome, that we can achieve, that we can support, and also this belief and faith in one another, that we can depend on one another to achieve great success, to achieve unity together, and to do great things as a community. And so that's from the Kwanzaa perspective. But Pastor Wade, reflect on faith from a biblical or a Christocentric perspective. What does it kind of say to you from that vantage point?
It definitely speaks to the things that are not tangible, right? We know that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So what it suggests is that I don't need proof to believe, at least not the proof that is tangible, not the proof that is that speaks to the senses, but rather it is this idea that God has placed within humanity, and from a Christological perspective, an opportunity for all of us to be able to lean into trusting beyond ourselves and beyond our communities. It gives a certain sense of comfort and peace to know that beyond my greatest abilities and talents, personal accomplishments and experiences lie the space where God operates in a way that I don't have to just lean into myself or just lean into my community, but I know that greater things await even when I begin, especially when I begin leaning into my faith in Christ Jesus.
Pastor Brooks?
And I love it. And when you gave the question, I immediately go to an old gospel song by Vanessa Bell Armstrong. And she says, I have the faith that sees the invisible, expects the incredible, receives the impossible, faith that can conquer anything, faith that uproots my problems, faith to know God can solve them, faith to vision my freedom. I have faith that can conquer anything. And from the Christological point of view, as you stated, Pastor Barone, when we have faith, to echo what my brother Pastor Wade just said, we are no longer just thinking within us, we're actually going outside of us. So while we can believe in our community, this faith that we have in God says it goes a little bit higher than that, reflecting on the fact that God knows, and he has, for those of us who have ever been credit challenged, his credit is always good. There is no space in which you can go where God don't bounce checks. When you swipe your card, it will always come back authorized. You don't have to worry about your outcomes when your faith is in God. So when we think about that faith, we get excited when we think about that faith, because we know what it's been like when your back has been against the wall and you needed to lean on something you couldn't see in order to get out. We know what it feels like when you're in a space where you don't know how it's going to end, but because you believed in God, the end is still going to be to my benefit. So whatever that's going to be, I'm going to trusting to lean in him. The colloquial saying within all of our churches is, I can trust him where I can't trace him. And faith allows us to move forward because while in the world it's seeing is believing, in the spiritual realm it's believing is seeing. I believe it, therefore I'm going to see it.
Amen.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You know, when I reflect on it from a Christ perspective, a Christian perspective, particularly within the Adventist context, you got to have faith that not only, as Pastor Wade said before, that a better day is coming, but we're looking forward to the day when Jesus does come again. And the center point of all Christianity is faith that Jesus came, faith and belief that Jesus rose, and faith and belief that he's coming again, when ultimately we'll be liberated from this world of sin and experience freedom, joy, and peace like never before. And all of these principles that we've shared over the last week will become manifest in every fiber of our being. We'll be united, we'll be connected, we'll be able to enjoy the peace that God intended for humanity, all of humanity, irregardless of color, irregardless of country, irregardless of gender, any of these things, where we can be united as one. So faith that it gets better than this is what keeps me going from a Christian perspective. It's what gives me hope. It's what allows me to be able to push forward and see a better day. I'm wearing a cap from the school that I graduated from, the university that I graduated from, Oakwood University, and the choir there, Dynamic Praise, would frequently sing a song that was called "A Better Day." After a while, there will be a better day. And really, it's a song of hope. It's a song of faith that I endeavor to not only live then and in that moment, but live today. My brothers, I'm so glad that we had a chance to do this. I'm so glad that this was an opportunity for us to celebrate with the broader African diaspora and to celebrate these principles of the Nguzu Saba through Kwanzaa this year in 2022. I hope that it has been a blessing to each and every one of you. I'd like to offer my colleagues an opportunity to just share one last thought, one parting thought, maybe in a sentence or two, as we close out this year's Kwanzaa celebration. Pastor Wade?
I would just like to close as we're looking towards this new year, simply saying, listen, be gracious to yourself, because God made no mistake when he created you. Not just love yourself and be gracious, but love those around you who are suffering and in need, and let the light that's in you, let these principles flow through you, that you might make a contribution to make the life that you live better, impacting and making even those around you sweeter to be experienced through you. God bless you.
As you're on the brink of a brand new year, I'd share that the best is yet to come for each and every one of you. That this year indeed can be the best year of your life. But there's some self-determination, there's some faith, there's some belief, there's some uniting and help that you'll need from others. But you must first believe in God, believe in yourself, and also rely on others so that you can achieve the goal that you have in your life. Pastor Brooks, you have the last word for this year.
I'll do my best to keep this short. For the season of Kwanzaa that we've just experienced, and as you all have done it, and it takes us into the brand new year, Kwanzaa's celebration is to remind us of every principle that has already been embedded in our culture. And as Christians, we see these embedded principles also showing up in the biblical story, the love of God, faith in God, purpose, to do those things that God has already placed in us. So as we begin this brand new year, remember your purpose. Be purposed in your heart. Continue to move forward. Bless your family as well as your community. And God will be sure to bless you as a result.
God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for joining us this year, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.